Hi guys, so my name is Brittany, and if you know me and my story, I've decided that it's time to share your guys' stories. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet, so all I'm gonna do is just read your guys' stories, and the purpose of me doing this is to let you know that I see you, I feel you, we've been in each other's shoes, and just know that you're not alone. So these comments, for context, is based off of videos I post about being chronically ill and labeled as a drug seeker by doctors. I promise I'm gonna do your guys' stories justice to the best of my ability. Mom was labeled drug seeker at one hospital and died at the other hospital a week later. Got told all my seizures were FND. I then had a seizure where I had dangerously high heart rate and danger low oxygen and required lorazepam and Keppra. I'm now diagnosed with both FND and epileptic seizures. I was accused of drug seeking after going to the hospital every day for a week for severe back and leg pain. It wasn't until I lost control of my bladder and couldn't move my right leg that they took it seriously. I was admitted for emergency surgery a few hours later as I was becoming paralyzed from a severely compressed spinal cord. I have permanent nerve damage in my leg thanks to them. My uncle ended up taking his life due to medical neglect. They called him a drug seeker. His liver was 2 times the size it was meant to be. I'm so sorry. I promised I wouldn't interrupt the comments, but I lost someone to unaliving as well, and I promised I wouldn't cry because I have to stay strong and read your stories to the best of my ability. So we're gonna keep going. Also labeled drug seeker, even though I have a genetically confirmed super rare disorder that has caused surgeries since infancy. They still think I'm trying to get opioids. I'm so sorry. It's the absolute worst feeling, but you are not alone. My friend was accused of drug seeking because she kept coming in with severe back pain. Turns out she had a tumor on her spine. It took 5 visits before they even gave her a CT. The tumor was benign, but she could have been paralyzed if it went untreated any longer. In America, this is what happens when the system is designed to put profits over people. I'm so sorry you had to go through what you had to. We have a serious empathy problem here, and people are so quick to jump to conclusions. I had to hold her in my arms as she sobbed she would rather die than be in pain any longer. I could rant about this forever. I don't think there is one epileptic out there who doesn't have something similar in their charts. I know I do. I have stopped caring it happens. I just pray it doesn't cause my untimely death one day. I was called a hypochondriac because I kept complaining about chronic pain and it got worse and worse. They didn't take me seriously for 10 years. Let me repeat that. 10 years. Until I almost died, and it turned out I had severe endometriosis. It damaged almost all my organs. Health, because apparently my symptoms made 0 sense. Mental health therapist said, quote, no, your mental health is fine, but you definitely need an MRI, end quote. Unaccountable amount of lesions on my spine and brain, spanning back to early teens with complaints, by the way, only got MRI at 26, with a doctor saying, quote, I have no idea how you've lasted this long without pain meds, end quote. The kicker? I'd still be walking if someone listened. My doc told me I'm skinny, so I couldn't possibly have PCOS. After finally feeling like I got somewhere with another, amongst other things going on, I give up. I suffer in silence. Oh, I had this. Ended up in A&E a few times, looking like I'd had a stroke, was in agony, I couldn't touch my face. They saw my medical record and saw that I have HEDS, 2 bowel conditions, and was on a number of meds, and was like, you're just seeking meds. No, I want to know what's wrong with me. I ended up seeing a neurologist, and I was diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia. Now on meds, keeping it under control, but I didn't want pain meds. I wanted to know what's wrong with me. I get they probably do see med seekers and addicts, but they need to stop treating everyone like they are a problem and find the solution to what's happening. I'd like to butt in a little note here that trigeminal neuralgia is literally called the suicide unaliving condition because it's so painful. My doctor told me I'm fat and that it's my age, and that I should get out and walk some more. I have PCOS. I also walk my dogs. And he still said I'm too fat and talked about his health more than mine. Bearing in mind, it's my shoulder and neck causing severe pain to the point my right side is frozen. 7 times. And it took them a month to finally CT scan my brain. I had about 500 ml of blood that surgery washed from my brain. I didn't know I'd passed out and hit my head one night and didn't have classic signs of a stroke. I've had this treatment far too many times now. Why is it that we have come so far, medicine-wise, and yet all I see and feel is us stepping further and further back for illnesses that have been tried to be debunked by how many experts, and yet the results are always the same. No change. We are ill and our bodies are slowly slipping day to day, and yet when I tell you I'm being sick from the pain, can't stand it, limbs swelling, and all the above, and yet because I'm on opioids, I'm a druggie. My general practitioner has fucked me over more times than I can remember, leaving me without medication for 24 hours over 2 days. Yeah, good job throwing withdrawals into the mix along with my symptoms going fucking mad. My mom takes shots for psoriasis, and some idiot put on her chart history of IV drug use. Like, excuse me, she didn't shoot heroin. I went to the ER for a 9 out of 10 on the pain scale, was writhing, in pain, and just because they found weed in my system, they labeled me drug seeking and refused to give me anything, and then proceeded illegally drug paneling me for everything without disclosing that information to me first. Further into that visit, they discovered I was passing a kidney stone on a double kidney infection, and then they were literally running to get me pain meds. They could only give me fucking Tylenol to take home because of the drug-seeking note, and ever since nobody takes anything I say seriously. They opt to drug test first and listen later. I'm chronically ill, and all I receive is complete disrespect everywhere I go. I never saw my chart, but I'm fairly certain they put the same thing in mine. When I first got injured and was on a terrible workers' comp insurance, I was so badly in pain that for the first 2 years after my injury, I was living in the bathtub for the majority of my day to get some of the pressure off my spine. After slowly walking any and every decision and not being written any sort of diagnostic scans, I would end up in the ER because the pain was so severe. After a couple visits, the hospitals turned me away, saying the workers' comp insurance had a, quote, peer-to-peer, end quote, discussing the insurance told me, and every hospital in my city not to treat me if I came in. Here I am, over 10 years later, and I'm still bedridden, living between 8 out of 10 on the pain scale, can barely walk or stand for more than a few moments, or sit at all, and if I attempt, I end up having a flare where the pain goes to beyond controllable levels. I'm a living nightmare. Literally the same thing happens to me. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Healthcare providers do not take women seriously, and it's killing people. You're lucky you're alive. I'm happy you stood up for yourself, and I hope you sue. There's a funny story with that. Won't get into it now. I'm a nurse who also suffers from chronic migraines. I'm fortunate that when I go to the emergency for relief, I'm treated with empathy and respect, but I'm always a little nervous around new physicians that they'll assume I'm drug seeking, when really it's the exact opposite. I wish I didn't have to take any medication. I wish I could live the life I used to enjoy. I feel for you. I understand you, and please know I never judge someone in your/my shoes. Yes, I went to the ER for severe bleeding and pelvic pain. I was there for around 10 hours. They refused to give me anything for pain until I started literally turning blue and passing out. Found out soon after it was severe endo that had attached itself to the other organs, and I had to have surgery. They really just want every woman to to be a drug seeker or overreactor. I feel like I need to repeat that. They really just want every woman to be a drug seeker or overreactor. This is, too many patients are denied the care they deserve because they are labeled as drug seekers. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I was told I was faking my seizures. Turned out after my daughter was born and she started having seizures 6 weeks after birth, we both have a rare epilepsy mutation. DR tried to put me on a 1013 after my last seizure. I have instructed my entire family to never call an ambulance on me. Ever again. The things I have endured because of drug seeking. I almost died. A lot. When my boyfriend went to the hospital after his motorcycle accident, simply because he wasn't responding very well to the meds, like they weren't helping his pain, they started treating him like an IV drug user and were acting like he was an addict who was asking for all kinds of meds to get high. Shit like this has to stop, and especially for women, it's 10 times worse. It took me hours for doctors to give me morphine when I was having horrible stomach pains. It's just horrible. I have had this written about me when literally all I wanted was for them to do more tests to make sure I wasn't bleeding into my stomach due to severe complications from endometriosis. I literally said, I know you won't give me medicine that will actually help with my pain, and refused the Tylenol/equivalents. To that they tried to force on me. I'm so sorry this happened to you. It's beyond not okay and traumatizing. I ruptured a 15-week ectopic and I was hemorrhaging in the ED and I was an addict at the time. I was in layers of heroin and fentanyl addiction. They threw my body into an overflow room and left me there for 2 hours with nothing but Toradol from the ambulance. When they finally sauntered me down to ultrasound, I was back arched screaming and they were telling me, quote, "You're fine, please stop," end quote. Until she saw what was happening in my abdomen. The last thing I remember is her calling the crash cart and my entire team came running all the way down to ultrasound. Notably, my nurse, he ran up to the side of my bed and said, quote, "I'm so sorry," end quote, with tears pouring down his face. The OB surgeon was so pissed with my treatment. 2 nurses were fired on the spot and an ER doctor was fired later on. They didn't know I was an EMT. And my mom happened to also work quality after 40 years as the emergency department director at that very hospital. And I just want to remind emergency room staff that it isn't up to you to decide who's drug seeking and who's not. 1 little shot of morphine is not going to make or break somebody's addiction. You need to treat your patients as they present, not playing detective about your own personal beef with drug addicts. It's not up to you. If my OB surgeon wouldn't have saved my life that day, I would have never gotten sober. 6 years now. So I thank them for that experience. I truly do. I just wanted to share my cautionary tale, hoping that emergency department staff will see our experiences and understand what they're doing is evil. I'm so sorry you've experienced something just as terrorizing by an emergency department. The one place where you're supposed to feel safe. I'm a registered nurse. Long before I was going to be in healthcare, I went to the hospital with a headache. It had been 2 days, and at that point I was wincing every time my heart would beat and my head would pound. The nurse asked me my pain level, and I told her it was a 10. The look she gave me almost rolled her eyes. I said, "Do you think I'd really come to the ER for a headache if it wasn't that bad?" I was so naive, I didn't even know what she was getting at. They gave me morphine. I threw it up. They attempted a lumbar puncture twice. Eventually, they just sent me home. The director was rounding and asked me how my care was. I told her they couldn't get the lumbar puncture, but I've had children and 2 epidurals. She told me, quote, "Well, you should have said something. We would have found a different anesthesiologist to do it," end quote. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. I also know that my ER sees 400 people a day, and the percentage of true drug seekers is staggering. Went in with a massive migraine and waited 6 hours, was offered Advil and sent home. I had already told them Advil wasn't working. I hear you so much. I have several chronic illnesses, seizures, and sometimes paralysis. Had seizures last year over an hour, couldn't speak anymore or walk/move legs. Called ambulance. Got traumatized from paramedics and the hospital staff. I can tell you I won't call the ambulance again. If I die, I die. but I don't want to be treated in such ways again, especially during seizures when I'm helpless and can't protect myself. Sorry, that one just hits like really close to home. I can't do this. Woke up with a headache, passed out multiple times, went to the ER, only got blood taken verbatim, quote, sometimes people faint, end quote. Less than a month later, discovered my CSF was crushing my brain and optic nerves. Anyways, wishing you love and relief. Same has happened to me. Worked at a nursing home and I blacked out in the dining room. Nurse on shift sat down and checked my blood pressure and it was 182/120. They immediately sent me to the hospital, but by the time I got there, it had already went down, but the nurse wrote her reading down for me to give to the doctor. And I guess because I was, at the time, a few years clean, they thought I was just seeking pills. Took 4 years to diagnose my cancer because I was, quote, too young, end quote. When they finally took me seriously, I was given 6 months to live with no treatment. Mind you, I had a huge lump on my neck for all 4 years, like a second neck big. I had a TBI, kept being told years later it's anxiety and panic attacks, only to find out it was epilepsy. I was told to lose weight, but I had an undiagnosed gluten/wheat allergy. Management appointment where I stated several times I did not want meds, and the notes labeled me a drug seeker and said I got aggressive when I actually said, quote, I'm sorry, I don't see this visit being productive for either of us. The options you've given I've already tried, and I was looking for more options along the lines of massage therapy, end quote. I had to call to get the notes changed and even sent a message to my primary who received the original notes expressing my concerns for that even being in my chart. I have a degenerative disorder. I cannot be labeled a drug seeker at 24 because I'm trying to keep working without a wheelchair. I hate being a chronically ill person because I get the famous anxiety is the cause of all your symptoms and I'm dismissed as you are. I cry out of desperation to feel better. They see that as unstable and they put it in my charts. I understand that defended feeling. Absolute worst. So in my last ER visit, they told me to try a university hospital. Here where I live is the University of Miami. Try and see if they can do deeper tests. I'll try to see if it works. Had a doctor laugh at me once in the appointment because I was so ill and no one helped. I started crying, essentially had a meltdown, probably the first one in public other than the airport as an adult. And I looked at my notes the other day from that appointment and he wrote, hysterical. Chronically ill and AUHD, and they literally laughed at me. The link tree in my bio has my contact if you wanted to email me your story or share it below. To conclude, but I would also like to say there are amazing, beautiful, glamorous, generous people that do work in healthcare that are passionate about their jobs and genuinely do care about helping people. Those people, those healthcare workers give me faith in humanity again. So I'll leave it at that for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.